Congressman, as you hear that, this is something that Ilhan Omar didn't say on Twitter. She was actually in a committee hearing. She sits on the very powerful Foreign Affairs Committee, and she is a vice chairman of one of the committees. She's a big shot, and there are a lot of Republicans and even some Democrats who are now thinking, why does she have this big job? Maybe Nancy Pelosi should fire her from it.
Yeah, I think she absolutely should be fired. And this is a pattern with her, too. This isn't just a one-off. She has a pattern of anti-Semitic comments. She's constantly trying to make you believe that America is a bad place, not worthy of our praise at all. And what she does is she says something pretty outlandish, and then she turns around and claims victimhood for it when people criticize her. Mm-hmm. This is the game that gets played. This is the pattern. And but hey, look, the bright side is, at least she did say that there is something bad about Hamas and Taliban. Now, frankly, I wasn't expecting that. So, look, hey, we are making small progress with Ilhan. But in all seriousness, you cannot place these entities, the United States, Israel, Hamas, and Taliban, in the same category. And she did it deliberately. All right, to say that this is a mistake, to say that we don't actually carefully think about everything we're going to say and everything we're going to tweet is nonsense. She, of course, thinks through it, and she does believe that. And if you go to any typical college classroom these days and you listen to progressive students talk about the United States and how they feel about it, you're going to hear this kind of thing. You're going to hear that the United States is bad, that there's no premise in good things. I mean, what is critical race theory about? What are all of these new movements about in the progressive wing? It's to show that America is not foundationally good. That's what they want to show, and whether that's in foreign policy and in current actions or whether that's in historical actions that we can't change. This is what they're always trying to perpetuate, that narrative that America is bad. So it really shouldn't surprise us, and we do have to call it out when we see it. And we're not going to let her play the victim on this.
And you went to an Ivy League school and got your master's, so you had to witness that coming back from and after coming back from war. She went on to say, "It's shameful for colleagues who call me when they need my support now to put out a statement asking for clarification and just call the Islamophobic tropes of the statement are offensive." So she's trying to also, in my humble opinion, let everyone know I might not be voting with my party if this continues, because I get a lot of calls to stay on the same page because we only have a 4-vote difference, isn't she? She's got a little bit of leverage here.
She might think she does. Look, I hope Democrats stay strong. The few that have spoken out against her, I hope they stay strong against her. She doesn't have that much power. She doesn't have that much leverage. And frankly, what a juvenile thing to say. Honestly, I mean, that statement that you just read to me is what an angry juvenile person would say. It's not what an adult would say. It's certainly not what an elected member of Congress would say. It just sounds very petty. And look, just admit that you did something, once again, that is questionable, and don't be surprised when everybody says something about it.
There's outrage about the Pentagon diversity training program. I know you've heard a lot about it. You and Tom Cotton set up this. You launched this site where people could write in and they could whistleblow on what's happening behind the scenes in the military. Tom Cotton was grilling the Defense Secretary, Lloyd Austin, about this and asked him if he thought the military was racist. And the Secretary couldn't really answer the question. Listen to this.
Mr. Secretary, do you believe that our military is a fundamentally racist organization? Yes or no, please.
Well, I won't give you a yes or no answer on that, Senator, because it deserves more than a yes or no.
Do you believe that any member of the military should be treated differently based on their skin color and sex? Again, yes or no will do.
No, I do not believe that, and that is why we have diversity, equity, and inclusion focus in the military.
What's your reaction to his answer? Do you think it's racist, the military?
I definitely do not think the military is racist. It's probably one of the least racist institutions in America, if not the world. It is truly a place where your skin color, your gender, your background can be set aside and meritocracy takes hold. And you move up based on your own skill sets, based on your own judgment, based on your own leadership qualities. And we see that time and time again proven in a place like the military. And what is inclusive about the military? Well, the fact that we all have the same standards, the fact that we wear the same uniforms, the fact that we sing the same songs, right? So there's a cultural identity that takes place in the military, which is actually really hard to emulate anywhere else, but it happens in the military. That's what we should be talking about when we say the military is inclusive. But here's what they often say. Well, we're going to do diversity and inclusion training. Who could possibly be against that? Well, because they're playing footsie with critical race theory when they do that. It's not inclusive to be telling people about their whiteness and to be explaining to white people how they have privilege. I mean, some of the feedback we got when we put this out. So we have a whistleblower page on my website, and when people fill that in, it goes to me and it goes to Senator Cotton. So that's where all these examples came from that Senator Cotton brought up. And there's things like white privilege walks. So take 2 steps forward if you're white, a step back if you're black. Tell me how that's inclusive. Tell me how that doesn't create divisions within our military. It really is problematic. And I was really, look, the Secretary of Defense got to the right answers eventually, but to say that it's complicated whether or not the military is a racist institution, I'm sorry, no, it's not complicated.
Yeah.
The answer is simply no. And he got there eventually, but it was... But that you shouldn't have to equivocate. And what he's doing is he's trying to appease the progressives on the left while also being honest with himself, because I don't think he honestly believes that.
Is there a benefit to highlighting the role of the Union Army in emancipation?
Perhaps that might be a little too esoteric for a lot of people's. But they're doing it. Yeah. Oh, you're saying in training.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. So. No, look, this is what we've heard with a few of these things. Using critical race theory, even though they don't call it critical race theory, doing these things like these privilege walks. The other reason that we dove into this wasn't just to look at critical race theory training perhaps being put on our troops. I mean, I was looking at this long ago when they took the SEAL ethos and they made it gender neutral. Just out of nowhere, just for some reason. We were letting transgender soldiers go on CNN and politicize their behavior there. And just the fact that we even changed the policy to say, look, we're going to use taxpayer dollars to allow gender transitions and make you undeployable, make you unable to deploy, and probably force you to be medically retired, and then you'll be on the taxpayer dollar forever. So there's just a lot of concerning trends. Don't let me forget the extremism training that they were shoving down everyone's throats. And that was highly biased. None of that extremism training ever mentioned BLM, never mentioned Antifa, only mentioned conservative-related extremism. And it's causing a serious decline in morale. Soldiers feel like they can't speak up, that they feel like if they do, they'll be ostracized or fired. And we need to change the incentives around that. That's fundamentally why we're doing this. We want to tell these military leaders that your incentives have changed. We're going to show you that people get just as angry, if not more angry, when you do this. You can't just keep giving in to the woke mob, and nothing's going to happen. We're going to change the incentives on you.
And of course, we got to train you to fight global warming, not the Chinese or the Russians or the Iranians.
Yeah.
That's
the
great.
biggest threat.
Dan Crenshaw joining us today from...
Yeah,
no kidding, we won't. Mr. Crenshaw, thanks for joining us today from Houston.
Thank you.